Hi, today we want to describe a sequence of transformations that shows that ABC is similar to DEF. Now first we know that this triangle was first, so this must be our pre-image. This is our image. We know that it got larger, so we know that this is a dilation of a scale factor that's greater than 1. Because of that, you want to take your length, find the length of DE, which is our image, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you want to divide that by the length of the pre-image, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 6 over 4, which simplifies to 3 halves, which equals R. Now you want to find the scale factor of each of these points. So we have point A, which is -2, -1, and we have B, which is -6, -1, and we have C, which is 0, -5. Okay, now we're going to take these points, which is from our pre-image, and we want to dilate them by a scale factor of 3 halves. So that'll be our A prime. So we have 3 halves times -2 and 3 halves times -1. Because remember, the scale factor, you must multiply both coordinates by the scale factor. So we're going to do that to each one. So you have 3 halves times -6 and 3 halves times -1. And C prime will be 3 halves times 0 and 3 halves times a -5. Okay, so we have A prime will be -3, -1.5. Oh, running out of paper. And B prime will be -9, -1.5. And then C prime will be 0, and that's -7.5. Okay, so now that we have all of our points of our applied scale factor, we must now look here, and we're going to see what's going on with the last set of points. Okay, when I plot these points on a grid and I look at the points that I have here, this is for D, this is 0, 3, and for E, this is 6, 3, and for F, this is -3, 9. So now look at these points in comparison to my points here. I know that something had to change. It looks like I have some type of reflection over the y-axis, especially when I look here. Because if you notice, if I flip point B over to the other side, it will be a mirror image of this figure. So I know there will be a reflection over the y-axis. So if I reflect this over the y-axis, all of my y-coordinates stay the same, and my x-coordinates take on the opposite value. Okay, so we have, that'll be A double prime. When I'm reflecting over the y-axis, my y stays the same, x takes on the opposite, so it was -3 will become 3, and it will stay -1.5. My B prime, double prime, will be -1.5 because it stays there, but my x will become positive, which will be 9. And our C double prime, it will stay 0 because opposite of 0 and all that, still 0, and -7.5 will stay as such. Okay. And also, I know that if it reflects over the y-axis, it's going to be in this area, and I know I need it to be up, right? Because this point will still remain down if it reflects over. So it looks like it'll also be a reflection over the x-axis. So if that's the case, my x stays the same, y becomes the opposite. So it's a triple prime, which will be 3, 1.5. B triple prime, which will be 9, 1.5. And my C triple prime, which will be 0, 7.5. Okay, so remember, I apply the scale factor of 3/2 to each of the original points. I reflected it over the y-axis, and then I reflected it over the x-axis. Now when I look at these points compared to my dilated figure, I see that this is 3. This is for A. Remember, A corresponds with D. So this is 3. My D is 0, okay? And then I have 1.5 here, and I know that this is 3. So to myself, I'm thinking, okay, how can I get from positive 3 to a 0 on the x-axis? And how can I get from 1.5 to a positive 3? Well, to me, that looks like a translation. Because remember, we've already reflected it above the x-axis, right? So once we've done that, it looks like it has to shift over just a little bit, okay? So if I take 3 and I subtract 3 from x, then I will have 0, because 3 minus 3 is 0. 1.5, if I add 1.5 to 1.5, I'm going to get 3, okay? Same here, 9 minus 3 is 6, which is this coordinate here. 1.5 plus 1.5 is 3. 0 minus 3 is a negative 3, which is my value here. And 7.5 plus 1.5 is 9. So next I have a translation of three units to the left, which is x minus 3, and y plus 1.5. Sorry about that. So we have a translation of x minus 3 and y plus 1.5. So I hope they help you understand. It did not say graph the translation, it said describe the sequence, but you can definitely graph each of these points onto your grid. All right, let's make it a great day.